Hi folks, I'm Brian LaRosa with LaRosa's Trains on Facebook. Today I'm going to review and run the new RailKing 031 gauge Amtrak Genesis diesel from MTH. The Genesis is a modern diesel built by General Electric, and it is used exclusively for passenger service. Amtrak first ordered these engines to replace its aging fleet of the classic EMD F40 PH diesels. There are three types of the Genesis: P40 DC, P42 DC, and P32 AC DM. The P designates the engine's passenger service. The two numbered digits refer to the number of horsepower it can generate: 40 for 4,000 horsepower, 42 for 4,200, and 32 for 3,200. And the DC or AC refers to the traction motors powered by either direct current or alternating current. On the P32, however, DM stands for dual mode, in which it can run by a diesel engine or by electric center third rail. Also on the P40 DC, some of them are also named as AMD 103. AMD stands for Amtrak Monocoque Diesel, and the 103 refers to its top speed of 103 miles per hour. Now, because all of the types of Genesis are nearly identical to each other, MTH obviously uses the same tooling for these engines, and therefore simply named the engine as the Genesis. As many of you already know, Amtrak celebrated its 40th anniversary in 2011, so a few of the Genesis diesels were painted in special heritage paint schemes based on Amtrak's older paint schemes used over the years. Those paint schemes are also known as phases. The current paint scheme you see on most Genesis diesels today is called Phase 5, which is a blue and silver paint scheme with Amtrak's newer logo. This paint scheme you see on my engine is called Phase 1, which is, as sort of a no-brainer, Amtrak's first paint scheme. This item was offered in MTH's 2014 Volume 1 catalog, and it was finally delivered in February of 2015. In the catalog, MTH offered 3 Amtrak versions in 3 different paint schemes, including this one you see here, and then 1 New Haven version. Now, this engine is also my first pre-ordered engine, because it all started when my local MTH dealer, Engine House Hobbies, strongly recommends pre-ordering any new MTH item featured in the most recent catalog. But because I was new to pre-ordering items, I ended up pre-ordering this engine about a year later after the catalog was released. So if you're new to the hobby, one of the nice things about pre-ordering items is that you can possibly get a discount off a retail price depending on your MTH dealer. Now, I'm not an expert on MTH pre-orders, but my understanding is that if you choose not to pre-order any new MTH item but are still interested in it, sometimes you can still get it, sometimes you cannot. It's not quite a guarantee. In other words, a lack of pre-orders may cause an item to be canceled. Okay, let's go over the basic features on this engine. Starting on the outside, we got die-cast truck sides, pilots, and the fuel tank, all metal wheels, axles and gears, and the metal chassis. Underneath this locomotive, by the front truck, is the volume control for the sound system, which I'll get to in just a moment. And by the rear truck, there's a speaker for the sound system. This This engine has a total of 4 pickup rollers, 2 in each truck, and the body is all made of ABS plastic. This engine measures about 14.5 inches, and like most RailKing items, the minimum curve needed to run this engine is 0.31. On the inside, this engine has 2 flywheel equipped motors and is equipped with speed control and MTH's Protosound 3 system with the Digital Command System, or DCS, featuring passenger station proto effects. And as always, it is typical MTH. Now there are 2 methods to run this engine. The preferred method is to run it with MTH's DCS system, because it'll give the full access to all of the DCS features on this engine. However, this engine can be operated conventionally with just a transformer. However, there is also a DCC receiver inside the engine, like most MTH PS3 engines. But I don't think that this engine can run on any DCC layout. Here we are in the front of the engine. We got the constant voltage headlight, and there are operating marker lights on either side, and operating ditch lights that turn on when the engine starts moving, and they flash when the horn is sounded. Now all the lights are LED, by the way, and because they are LED, this engine is equipped with this special prototypical feature called Rule 17 lighting. Rule 17 basically means that when the engine sits neutral, the lights will dim, and when the engine starts moving, the lights is full, which makes it more realistic. And then finally, down at the pilot, we got the MTH protocoupler that can be fired from the DCS remote. Here we are in the top middle of the engine. We got the separately applied horn and this nicely detailed smokestack. Now, there is no smoke unit on this engine, but it's not a deal breaker. Here's a look at the rear of the engine. We got the backup light that turns on when the engine's in reverse, and we got another set of marker lights on either side of the headlight, and we got another MTH protocoupler that can also be fired from the DCS remote. The paint job on this engine looks very beautifully done with this accurate Amtrak 40th anniversary logo, and on the builder's plate I can even see the legible GE logo. Now here's a closer look at this beautifully done Amtrak logo. In addition to the Genesis, I also wanted to have some matching passenger cars to run with it. This is a separately sold MTH Amtrak 4-car passenger set consisting of a baggage car, a coach car, a Vistadome car, and an observation car. Like the Genesis, these were offered in the 2014 Volume 1 catalog, and we also pre-ordered these as well. But these were actually delivered in October of 2014, which is 4 months before the Genesis came out. So a couple months later, in Christmas of 2014, I picked them up from the train store. Also in the catalog, there were 2-car passenger set, a sleeper diner set, a coach car, and the full-length Vistadome car. Now obviously I don't have all of the passenger cars because they're all pretty expensive. The retail price on the 4-car passenger set that you see here is about $250. The retail price on the 2-car set is about $130. The retail price on the coach car is about $65. And the retail price on the full-length Vistadome car is about $70. So if I combine them all with the Genesis, which is a $300 engine, then that would be a very expensive Amtrak train. But I wanted to have as many passenger cars as possible, so that's why I chose the 4-car passenger set. So 4 cars would be enough for now on my layout. I'm going to summarize these passenger cars as that they are typical MTH. Each car has die-cast trucks, 2 pickup rollers, 1 per truck, operating couplers, soft rubber diaphragms, a nicely detailed ABS plastic body, interior lighting, and on the inside the interiors are also nicely detailed. Now, there are no people inside these cars, but MTH does sell a separately sold passenger figure set, so they can be installed inside each car. Each car measures about 16.5 inches, and like most RailKing products, the minimum curve needed to run these cars is 0.31. Let's start off with the baggage car in this set. Now, I turn the power on so it'll be easier to see in this nice interior detailing inside these cars. So what's nice about these baggage cars is that they do have opening doors. So all I need to do is to push the door and slide it in like that. And this one like that. And there are 2 other opening doors on the other side as well. Now, and by the way, the paint scheme is also very nicely done as well. Here's a look at the coach car. Now, I also dim the lights so you can still see the detailed interior. And now, unlike the baggage car, the doors do not open. And as you can see, if you look inside this car, you'll see some nicely detailed seats. And like I said, there are no people inside, but MTH does sell the separately sold passenger figure set. Here's a look at the Vistadome car, and as you can see, it looks very nicely done. If you look on the inside of these cars, you'll see some very nicely detailed seats. And if you look at the very top, it also looks very nicely detailed. Very nice look in the Vistadome. And I'm sorry that the video quality is not really the best, but other than that, it looks very nicely done, very detailed as well. The last car in the set is the observation car. Again, we got interior lighting and very nicely detailed interior. However, some of the passenger cars even have a detailed restroom with a sink and a toilet, by the way. Also in the observation car is the red backlight and there's another one here and one on the other side as well. Now, one thing you'll notice in this observation car is that there's no coupler at the very end as it should be, but there is one. This is a coupler that goes to the observation car, but this is separately packaged, which means it has to be attached to the observation car once it's taken out of the box. Now, I don't know why observation cars have a coupler at the very end, the back end, but now if MTH doesn't intend people to operate a coupler in this end of the observation car, then they would have added a dummy scale coupler to the very end of it, which would still make it realistic, but without coupling this car to any other cars, and I'm still okay with it. Now, I personally like running this set without this coupler, but you do have the option to put a coupler if you really want to. There is one concern I've heard from some other hobbyists. As you can see, MTH has been installing incandescent bulbs to a lot of their passenger cars, but the problem is that if there are too many passenger cars on a layout, when they're lighted, they can possibly pull up too much amperage and therefore cause a short circuit. So there are two ways to fix this issue. The first way is to do a conversion from these incandescent bulbs to the more efficient LED light bulbs, because LEDs don't overload as much electricity as incandescent bulbs do, and they also don't flicker as much as incandescent bulbs do. And although it makes the lighting more efficient, the conversion can be pretty expensive. I think it can be pretty expensive. So I'm guessing that's why MTH keeps putting incandescent bulbs, because my guess is that it's most likely too expensive for MTH to install LED bulbs inside a lot of their passenger cars. So I chose not to do conversion in these cars. The second way to prevent this issue from happening is to do a little renovation with the transformer for smaller layouts like mine. This is an MTH 100 watt power supply, and up until now I used to use this cheap 50 watt transformer that came from my MTH Ready to Run set, but I found out that this may not produce enough wattage for the layout to handle a multiple number of illuminated cars like my passenger cars. So what I did to my layout is to replace the 50 watt transformer with this 100 watt power supply, so that it accommodates much better functionality with the lighting on these passenger cars. So I bought this transformer when I bought the Genesis a few weeks ago. So with the help of this 100 watt power supply, I couldn't find any electrical problems at all. Okay, I'm ready to run this engine, but before I do that, as you may or may not know, I'm still using this DCS remote commander set on my layout. Now, eventually I'll replace this system with the real DCS system in the near future. But in the meantime, I'm still have to use the system. So because I'm using this system, I want to show you how this engine works with this system. So the first thing I'm going to do is to start this engine up. So I do that by pressing this button. So let's start it up. Okay, first up, let's listen to the horn. And let's listen to the bell. Let's play some of the idle sounds. So, just some random sounds. So I do that by pressing this button. So let's listen.
Now keep it running. It's running great. Take a look at the compressor. It sounds a little noisy.
I like that authentic GE compressor sound as you would hear on most GE locomotives, which makes it sound very realistic. So here's another sound.
Make sure the fan fans are topped off. Fan fans are topped off. Yep, she's in good shape. Check that oil level.
That's about all the sounds for now. And let's start running around my layout. Now let's listen to the passenger freight announcements on, or PFA. So I do that by pressing this button right there.
Attention freight passengers. Now arriving from San Diego on track number 2, train number 14, the Coastal Starlight.
Salem, welcome to Salem.
I take your baggage?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that about wraps it up for this review. This is a fantastic engine I'm very happy to own. It's great to have this engine in this old-fashioned Amtrak paint scheme. And this engine sounds great too, especially this passenger station sound effects. I never had an MTH passenger engine before, so it sounds really unique. So that's about all for now. I'm Brian LaRosa, and I'll see you next time.